points in the first half. What was said during halftime? Hey, all right, Nick Bosa with a message there.
So it's common knowledge that Kamala Harris is absolutely getting killed with the male vote. Men are not voting for her for a variety of reasons, primarily because, you know, everything she says is horrible and her plans suck and she's a terrible politician. But besides that, her campaign has decided to praise a style of manhood that just demonizes everything about traditional masculinity. But it's actually so bad that Kamala Harris herself got caught admitting this out loud. Watch.
Harris was caught on a hot mic yesterday talking to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She appeared to acknowledge that she's not doing well with men.
Yeah. Oh, we have microphones and I was listening to everything. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. So, well,
You'll
now
bleep
you tell
my
us.
F words.
We just told all the family secrets.
Yeah, shit. But it goes to prove that all of these attempts that she's been doing to bring in and attract male voters are completely manufactured and artificial and just pandering. We've known that, but now she's admitting it. And it just goes to show you why everyone thinks she is so inauthentic. Her whole white dudes for Harris movement, her beta male husband, her Homer Simpson brainless running mate. You see why no guys like it. And I'm not even talking about like super jacked, giga chad, beer shotgunning guys. I'm just, like regular dudes. If you're just a regular guy, you don't believe in her idea of manhood and how she's trying to portray it and how she's trying to condemn what masculinity means to 99% of men. Like her ad that she made targeting masculinity and what it means. If you haven't seen this, watch just how stupid it is.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
This ad looks like a single man was nowhere near the production of this. So in a desperate attempt to try to get the male vote back and prove that they're the party of men, who'd she send out to do her bidding? Good old Tim Walz, right? He hunts, so he's got to be a man, right? Look at what they did.
Donald Trump wants you to think that this is going to be good for you, Project 2025. In football terms, they want you to think that this player right here, the quarterback, is going to hand the ball to the running back coming around this way. And the real play looks like this. This guy flips the ball here, and they run around this way. This is the tell. And I will call that Donald Trump. He always cuts taxes for the billionaires. He never follows through with the middle class. Our linebackers are watching that guard, and they will read. So this linebacker is you. Getting to the polls, voting, you got our chance to stop this. Let's play defense, folks.
This is the running back, and he runs this way, and comes back, does the old loop-de-loop. We call that the Wildcat, and this right here is what we call Donald Trump. I mean, come on, right? Trying to break down politics to us via X's and O's on the whiteboard. Thanks, Coach Walls. Thanks. Again, when they try to make a message curated towards men, it just flops every single time. It's like, could you not just explain to us why your policies and positions are better than Trump's? You think that you have to break it down via football plays for us to get the point? It's like when they try to reach the black community and they make it into a rap for us. It's like, oh, I know how these brothers are going to interpret my message the best. Let's put a nice little beat behind it and we'll spit it to them like this, like it's Will Smith from the 1990s. It's just so insulting and out of touch. And it exposes your lack of understanding for who you're trying to reach. It's like Tim Walsh shows his own colors by allowing something like that to get put out. He could have stepped in if he was this real man's man, shotgun hunting man's man, right? He could have stepped in at any point and said, I don't think this is going to work. I think this is a bit embarrassing on our part, but he didn't. So after that disastrous, desperate plead for male approval, what does Kamala do next? Well, of course, she goes on the Club Shay Shay show with Shannon Sharpe. She's so desperate to get people to like her. She wants to do these personable interviews, and they always just come off so unauthentic and bland, and they're flat, and she just looks like an empty suit every time. But Shannon Sharpe isn't a political interviewer, so you can't really expect him to have like this high-level political conversation with her and press her on issues. But he asks her a couple of semi-serious questions that give her the opportunity to explain herself. So here's one of them. He asks her, it seems like when you speak to black people, you're pandering. What can you say to the ones who say that? Watch.
I've read some blacks say the problem that they have to you is that you're making political promises and that you're just pandering. How do you get through to those that says, look, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. If I'm elected president, these are the policies and they will lead to meaningful and impactful change?
Well, part of it is just to be candid. I think that there's sadly a misinformation out there about who I am and what I've done, because if people are informed about fact, they will know that almost everything that I'm talking about doing as president is built on a foundation of work that I've been doing for years. Mm-hmm. If it is about economic empowerment of the black community and all communities, I've been working on that. As vice president, I am responsible for billions of dollars from big banks and big corporations, including technology companies, getting into community banks to increase access to capital for minority-owned and other small businesses.
There, she admits the quiet part out loud. She slips and sometimes does this. She says, as vice president, I was responsible for tens of billions of dollars, from big banks going to community banks. Wait, I thought as vice president you didn't do anything. That's why you can't be held responsible for the failures and the blunders of the Biden administration, right? I thought the vice president doesn't do anything. She constantly goes between, I'm so responsible as the vice president for everything, and I'm also responsible for nothing at the same time. She wants to take credit for things she perceives to be good about what the administration did, but then also says that I didn't have anything to do with the bad stuff. You just can't do both, lady. And again, her answer was a bunch of word salad, a big old nothing burger. So he follows up and he says, okay, can you explain how those tens of billions of dollars going to community banks are going to lead to minorities getting access to capital? Watch what she says.
Can you give us a breakdown of how you will allow blacks and other minorities to access capital? Because you speak a lot about capital, and in order for people to become successful and have some wealth, is that they need to have access to that to get started.
So that's in fact why I did, starting earlier this year, my economic opportunity tour, way before I was running for president, because I realized that so many of our entrepreneurs don't actually have that we need to do better in getting information to people about what's available to them. So for example, through the Small Business Administration, there are funds available to help people create a business plan. There is resources available to help people just know how that you need to run a payroll, how you need to pay business taxes. Part of my plan, by the way, is to simplify taxes for small businesses. I like to say it's basically, I'm going to date myself, like, you remember the 1040? Did you ever have to do a 1040? Probably never.
No.
Okay, I did. But, simplifying tax returns for people, including our small businesses. But the work that I have done and will continue to do is about knowing that we don't lack for hard work, we don't lack for good ideas, but we do lack for information.
She basically just says that all they're giving them is a bunch of information, no capital. But in doing this, she really insults small business owners. What, they don't know how to file their taxes? They don't know how to make a business plan? I'm sorry, Kamala. What business have you ever run? I bet every small business owner that's out there is 100 times smarter than Kamala Harris. Again, the question was, how are you going to get minorities access to capital? You didn't give an answer, but basically you just said they're all stupid, need help, and don't know how to do anything. I'm sorry, I'm a businessman. I've dealt with business banking for probably close to a decade now. And I know, just like every other business owner knows, just like she herself probably knows, banks aren't giving out free money to people because they have a business idea. That is not how banking works. Banks are not going to take on that kind of risk. The only way you can get access to serious capital is if you have collateral to put up for it, or you have a long-standing track record and relationship with that bank. The fact that she's making it seem like a black person is going to learn how to do a business plan from the SBA and then walk into their local community bank and get $100,000 is just dishonest. So there's your answer, black community, that Shannon Sharpe asked. When you're not getting pandered to with forgivable $20,000 loans and free weed, you're getting insulted. You're too stupid to write a business plan. You're too stupid to be successful. And she lied about being able to get you access to capital. There you go. And if you guys are liking the content, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, helps get the message out there to other people, and hopefully they can also find it helpful and valuable. Now, he asks her one more question, which is about illegal immigration. And her answer is just as you would expect. Watch.
I think we both agree. I think we can all agree on this, that there is a problem with, I don't know how the correct term, I think it's undocumented. How do we get a hold on that, Madam VP? How do we make sure, because I think I've heard you say you want a path to citizenship, but we want to, make sure people come in and do things properly.
Yes, that's exactly right. So first of all, I have personally prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I have prosecuted the Sinaloa cartel, the Guadalajara cartel. So I put my record up to anybody in terms of how strongly I feel about having a secure border and making sure that there is not that kind of trafficking into America. I also know that we need to put more resources at the border, which is why I supported a bill that came about, including from the most conservative members of Congress, to put 1,500 more border agents at the border, to do what we need to do to cut down the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is killing people of every race and background.
Her answer absolutely blows my mind. I mean, she's either stupid or she's dangerous. She says that she's prosecuted transnational criminals, cartels, gangs of the worst kind, and that she will put her record to anybody's for why she understands the need for a strong southern border. But she's the one who opened up the southern border. I don't get it. Either she intentionally wants to ruin the country by allowing all kinds of nefarious people in, unvetted and without obstruction, or she just doesn't care about the children and the women being trafficked in the worst kind of conditions by the worst kind of people, or she just doesn't care about the cartels becoming extremely rich and profitable off of this unobstructed border, or she just doesn't care about the amounts of fentanyl that are going to be coming in and destroying people's lives and communities, or she's just stupid. Either way, disqualifies her from being president of the United States. And she consistently talks about this bipartisan border bill that Donald Trump allegedly killed, but conveniently leaves out the fact that 6 Democrats, including Bernie Sanders, voted against it. It was an unpopular bill that members of her own party didn't support. It included billions of dollars for funding Ukraine and allowed 5,000 illegal immigrants into the country a day. Stop trying to insult the American people's intelligence by this. When her and Biden took office in 2021, the Democrats had control of the House and the Senate and the presidency. And she says that the first thing that they did when they got into office was try to pass an immigration bill that fixed the broken immigration system. They controlled all bodies of government. She is responsible for the border crisis, and she knows it. So it's safe to say that her appearance on Club Shay Shay didn't convert all the male voters to her side. I don't even know if it converted any. Probably lost her some white guys for Harris. Who knows? The last thing I want to show you might arguably be the most concerning clip of this video. So in California, a whole bunch of mail-in ballots were found in the sewer. This is why I don't know why it's so complicated. Elections should just be, you go somewhere, you cast a vote, it's done in an official setting, that's the end of it. All these various ways of doing it are just complicating things. And if ballots are getting lost in the sewer, that just shows that all kinds of things can happen to these mail-in ballots. Watch.
An alarming find in Sierra Madre just weeks before the November 5th election, a stack of ballots in a storm drain.
As Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia tells us, it's a reminder to contact your registrar of voters if your ballot doesn't show up in the mail.
I'll show you. Jason Ace was doing some landscape work at his Sierra Madre home Saturday when he saw something strange in the storm drain next to his house.
So I just want to emphasize, make sure you get out there and vote November 5th. Do it in person so your ballot does not end up in the sewer. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.